Hey Brickmaniacs, welcome back to another Designer Studio episode. Today we're taking a look at not just one kit, but an entire collection, really a relaunch of the Brickmania Humvee custom building kit lineup. So this was the first one, and then we had kind of an evolution here as we decided to kind of roll out some different variants. This initial one definitely very popular, but I got Dan joining me to talk a little bit about kind of what we decided to do when we relaunched this line, where the updates were made, some of the durability, etc., and then just kind of how we're going to continue it moving forward.
Right. So a lot of people know that Humvees have been a staple of our production for years and years, and we've actually partnered with AM General, so we're doing them with the blessing of the manufacturer, the designer, the inventor of the Humvee. And we decided over the last year that, since we had so many different Humvees with so many different standards, to rebuild them to a more uniform standard, just like the real thing. And we've been constantly developing new techniques, make them better, stronger, durable, more playable. And over the course of this winter, we decided, okay, we're going to relaunch. In the fall and winter, we decided we're going to relaunch, basically replacing all of the older Humvees one by one with the current standard. Yeah. And the reason being is that it makes it more, they look better side by side, but it's also build quality is more uniform. The different packages, I guess, that you would put on the different purposes would all work. They'd be a lot more interchangeable. And it also gives us an update, a chance to update to more, a variety of vehicles. So in the past, we've just had like one specific vehicle for this or that campaign or something, and now we're like, okay, we're going to make all the different vehicles, and people can mix and match how they want to do things. And of course, the standardization will really help to do all that for the customers. Well,
and that's awesome too, because like if you're trying to build a mock, if you've got a convoy, depending on when you've bought your Brickmania Humvees, your convoy might look like more of an evolution of the way they were built. You know what I mean, to some degree. So if you're putting together something, mock related, obviously it's really nice to have those vehicles all looking uniformed. And like I said, this was kind of the start off. I know when we initially teased some of the pictures, people were like, oh man, they're doing a throwback like 90s Humvee. But this is actually a more updated modern Humvee. It's just in a NATO camo, because this is typically what you see kind of all over the world in service.
You see them in Europe, you see them in the United States. You'll see them, if you have an Army base or a reserve base or National Guard base, you'll typically see these on the highway doing, they'll do, practice road marches with them. It's the same sort of Humvee you'll see, in town, wherever the U.S. Army and U.S. military, not just Army, I should say all branches actually use Humvees. So wherever the military has stuff, it's far more common to see a Humvee than any other military vehicle.
Absolutely.
They're like the Jeep of the modern military. That's a good way to put it. Far more common than any trucks, any armored vehicles. Like people are asking for the JLVT. Of course, we will do that. It's coming. It's coming. Be patient.
There you go.
But by far, the ratio of Humvees versus armored vehicles is
especially worldwide.
Yes. But there's tens of thousands of these in service now, whereas these newer armored vehicles, more specialized vehicles, are very limited in production. They're getting around, but yeah.
Well, let's start with this one then, if you want to just kind of go over some of the functions. Obviously, the printed parts, for the most part, other than the addition of the exhaust, are standard from previous Humvees in the past, but the design itself kind of had some reworks.
Right, well, the base is the same. I mean, you still have this super sturdy Humvee base. You can put your guys in there. You can put your guys in, the doors do open. These are, this particular Humvee, this is what is it, M151
51
A1. So that is the uprated, it means it's a higher suspension. The M1151 means it's the higher suspension. All of those 515 series, 115 series, all have a higher rated suspension. The 1 means it's a 4-door, it's the standard weapon carrier. The A1 means it comes fitted with a basic armor protection as standard, which would be armored windows. So you have these thicker, heavier doors. Armored windows, there's some other pieces of armor in there. The rest of the armor kit would be like the turret armor. So this includes the gunner protection turret on here. So the original ones just had a hatch on the roof, which did have a rotating turret ring, and you put a gun on there and you could spin around.
But nothing really along the sides.
There was no protection for the gunner. There's no shield.
Good luck.
Yeah. And for the most part, I mean, if you're just moving people around, moving troops around, you don't need that.
Yeah.
These aren't intended to be like the spearhead of any sort of like armored campaign, but they, learning from like being in hostile territory, having to do road marches, having to do convoys, outside of like Baghdad or something. You want to have some sort of a protection, especially the closer you get into urban environments.
Right. When buildings are towering over you, it can be a little intimidating for sure.
Right. And if you're just exposed in that upper turret, it's definitely nothing standing between between you and
Takes a brave human to pull that job. Yeah,
whoever,
absolutely.
another finger on a trigger or a rock or a bottle or anything. So they did do this sort of a standardized armor protection kit. First they were field improvised. They just had a shield in the front. Then they started getting more and more elaborate until they finally ended up teaming up with companies here in the United States to make these armored kits that they're standardized around the country. This being one of the most common.
Well, and the nice thing too, and just talking design-wise, is as we've seen these turrets kind of evolve. Sometimes you see custom builds that are the bricks they're working with make them awful bulky. This one is nice and slick and smooth and fits that minifigure just fine.
Right, and the minifigure, he'll rotate in there. You could actually get him down there pretty far down in that hatch if you wanted.
If he's hunkering down.
Yeah, you can get him. You put his arms up. You can get him down pretty dang low in there. And the marine turret functions the same. They both have opening hatches, so you can close the hatch up on the roof. These two models both have the spare tire rack on the back, but you can move the spare tire out of the way, open both the tailgates.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And upper and lower tailgates. They do have you'll have to pull the snorkel off to do this, but you can open up the
Access
front
the
hood.
radiator.
Yeah, the radiator. The way that the Humvee is propelled, the automotive system, the motor is sort of a midships. It's in the middle of it. So you have the radiator sticking out in the front. So most of what's out under the hood is actually a radiator.
Right.
Is the cooling
Hence
system.
the big vent too.
Yeah. Yep. So and the engine in the middle makes for much more stable vehicle. It's very low in the vehicle and evenly distributed. That's the weight through all the different wheels.
Yeah, and obviously the play functions between these two are fairly similar, but like you were saying, this one is indeed a marine-specific variant, which actually, that minifigure is the optional add-on for this one as well.
Oh, right, I stole him.
Yeah, it's all good, but so talk to me a little bit about some of the differences between these two base models. You can obviously see we got something else going on back here, and then the turret looks different as well.
Right. So they're slightly different eras. This is, this is more of again, a late 2000s, early 20-teens, and still using them today.
Yep.
But the difference is the turret. So the turret for this is a specific marine design turret that will fold down. So these things are like, they're loaded into ships, loaded into aircraft. They have to be a little bit
flat.
Yes, so the turret is definitely designed to lay flat. And they will do that when they're loading them into like say landing craft or something. They may not have the clearance, say in a LCAC or something,
Sure,
or in another ship to have these up. So it's a standardized marine turret system. You'll see it on their trucks. You'll see it in the Humvees. It can fold flat. The front armor comes off, so that they can transport them a little bit more.
That is pretty cool.
Makes them a little bit more versatile. We did have these extra antennas on here. This is just modeled after a specific era vehicle that we were looking at that had been in Iraq, but you'll see these in Afghanistan. You'll see them all over the world.
Yeah, right.
So
Anywhere the Marines are.
different radio systems. They have to use different radios because they have a different radio network that would be like more Marine and Navy specific. So, but same thing, fully operating turret. The thing that's different between these and the older Humvees, another noticeable feature, is the printed grille.
Yeah. Instead of having that what was it? Was it one?
It was a bunch of bricks.
Yeah, to represent that look.
It was a good innovation until we had the ability to print them.
Yeah.
Because now we could print a better looking, more natural looking Humvee grille. We'll be able to print different front ends on these vehicles. So once we were like, okay, we're happy with being incorporating that printing capability. As Brickmania evolves, we get more printing. Obviously, the muffler here has printing on it.
Yeah,
as well.
that's a nice touch. I like that.
So we have the same thing on this vehicle. These might be the last vehicles that actually get that muffler on there. Because that's not a common thing. It's only for vehicles that would be loading, like having a fording kit. You'll have that big tall snorkel. That's not typical on every vehicle.
Well, and I think we've already seen some people when they've built some of these, they've chosen to just leave that off for now. So it's a little extra perk, but I can understand with not wanting to have extras for cost sakes, especially when printing is involved.
Right, and it just wouldn't be something that's on every vehicle.
Right.
It's very like a amphibious vehicle, or if you're fording or expecting to cross rivers in your truck, then you'll have it. But it's not a typical not typical thing. So these guys were meant to be counterparts for each other. We will eventually bring back a tan version of
with the canvas cover. Yep.
And there are several other Humvees on the way. I mean, obviously we still have a few of the older styles still in our inventory. Once they're gone, they'll be gone for a while. Not everything's coming back. I'd like to do some more things like Avengers, things like that we haven't seen in quite a while. But for now, these are the three. We'll have some more utility vehicles and other Humvees coming up later, but this is the initial launch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and cool to see a standardized collection. There's a reason we wanted to take a look at all three of these kits at once instead of just kind of taking them individually, because it is nice to see them all together in their variants, and it makes you think about what the future could hold, in the sense that if you're starting a lineup, we already talked about Big Chungus and the M113, you start with that base design, and then it opens up a whole world of possibilities to bring back either classic stuff that Brickmania has made in the past or explore new territories as well.
Well, just wait till you get the matching trucks.
Exactly, exactly. Your convoy will be the sweetest thing in the block, no doubt.
Right, ready to go into action.
Cool. Well, there you have it. That's the Designer Studio for the updated Humvee lineup. Thank you very much for watching.